行销大家应该都耳熟能详，不过不见得能够知道。我要介绍的就是刚刚那位80、90岁的这个老夫人。那么我们先来看她的一段演讲。在她的演讲讲的呢是，照片不出来有点可惜，不过没关系。她的演讲讲的是这个 ：We evolved from aquatic apes。这个大概大家都认识，我们是从某个地方演进过来的。可是从什么地方呢？这个 ape 是猿，就是猴子的意思。可是 aquatic ape 是什么意思呢？ aquatic apes 的意思就是说，我们是从活在水里的猴子，而不是活在树上的猴子来的。这是这位女士，她花了一辈子的力气在讲这个事情。当然跟主流的思想不一样，主流的思想都说我们是从树上的猴子爬下来。那树上的猴子爬下来呢，我们的祖先从树上的猴子爬下来以后，就因为在草原里面要看得比较远，所以他就想办法，不是用4只脚走路，他就想办法站起来，因为这样可以看得比较远。那因为站起来以后，他要追动物干嘛？跟以前活在树上不太一样，树上有果子可以吃，所以他要这个追动物就很热，所以就把身上的毛都弄不见了，所以就变成没有毛。我们现在是除了头发以外，就是身上是不像动物一样，像猴子一样有毛。这位女士就讲说：“你难道不觉得这样很怪吗？这讲得通吗？”所以她一直觉得讲不通。她的说法是说，我们本来就是像这个海豚一样，是从水里上来的，是长成这个有4肢的水里上来的动物。所以我讲这个为什么要跟大家讲行销？行销就是要告诉你一个你本来不相信，然后我告诉你说是这样，然后让你听了以后觉得说，嘿，我觉得他好像讲的有道理。这个叫做行销。当行销最成功的时候，就是你觉得他有道理，然后你相信他，然后你去改变你的行为，那个就是变成一个真正最重要的行销的概念。好，我们来看一下，先看他的影片。
Well, this is 2009, and it's the bicentenary of Charles Darwin, and all over the world, eminent evolutionists are anxious to celebrate this. And what they're planning to do is to enlighten us on almost every aspect of Darwin and his life and how he changed our thinking. I say almost every aspect because there's one aspect of this story which they have thrown no light on, and they seem anxious to skirt around it and step over it and talk about something else. So I'm going to talk about it. It's the question of why are we so different from the chimpanzees?
他刚刚的那一段就是说，达尔文学说固然没有错，但是达尔文说我们是从猩猩演化来的时候，这里面当大家在庆祝达尔文这个200周年的这个庆祝的时候，有一个问题曾经被提过，这个被什么时候被提过？1960年被提过，就说为什么既然我们从猩猩过来，在这个演化的过程中间，我们为什么会变得这么不一样？那他说，基因学家告诉我们说啊，我们的基因有多像，有多像，有多像。可是他一直要问说，那为什么我们长得一点都不像？因为如果你是这样演化过来，你一定会看出来说，哦，是很像。可是他告诉我们哪里不像。
We get the genetics keeping on telling us how extremely closely we are, hardly any genes of difference, very, very closely related. And yet, when you look at the phenotypes, there's a chimp, there's a man. It's astoundingly different, no resemblance at all. I'm not talking about airy-fairy stuff about culture or psychology or behavior. I'm talking about ground-based, nitty-gritty, measurable physical differences. That one is hairy and walking on 4 legs. That one is a naked biped. Why? I mean, then if I'm a good Darwinist, I've got to believe there's a reason for that. If we change so much, something must have happened. What happened? Now, 50 years ago, that was a laughably simple question. Everybody knew the answer. They knew what happened. The ancestors of the apes stayed in the trees. Our ancestors went out onto the plain. That explained everything. We had to get up on our legs to peer over the tall grass or to chase after animals or to free our hands for weapons. And we had got so overheated in the chase that we had to take off that fur coat and throw it away. Everybody knew that for generations, but then in the 90s, something began to unravel. The paleontologists themselves looked a bit more closely at the accompanying microfauna that lived in the same time and place as the hominids, and they weren't savanna species. And they looked at the herbivores, and they weren't savanna herbivores. And then they were so clever, they found a way to analyze fossilized pollen. Shock horror. The fossilized pollen was not of savanna vegetation.
这一段有一点点难懂，意思是说，当我们都分析说，这个原始的这个猩猩还是变成猩猩的那一段，是因为它们留在树上。我们的祖先是从树上下来跑到平原，所以他为了要看远站起来，他为了要拿东西，就是手变成可以用。他为了要这个除热，所以身上的毛都掉掉了。那么现在的科学家去把那个时候的这个正在发展的那个时代的植物去分析了以后，发现说那时候根本没有大草原。那没有大草原，这个理论就不存在啦。它怎么会是因为到草原来呢？所以它这一段是在讲这个。
Some of it even came from lianas, those things that dangle in the middle of the jungle. So we're left with a situation where we know that our earliest ancestors were running around on 4 legs in the trees before the savanna ecosystem even came into existence. This is not something I've made up. It's not a minority theory. Everybody agrees with it. Professor Tobias came over from South Africa and spoke to University College London. He said, everything I've been telling you for the last 20 years, forget about it. It was wrong. We've got to go back to square one and start again. It made him very unpopular. They didn't want to go back to square one. I mean, it's a terrible thing to happen. You've got this beautiful paradigm. You've believed in it from generations. Nobody has questioned it. You've been constructing fanciful things on top of it, relying on it to be as solid as a rock, and now it's whipped away from under you. What do you do? What does a scientist do in that case? Well, we know the answer because Thomas S. Schoon wrote a seminal treatise about this back in 1962. He said, what scientists do when a paradigm fails is, guess what? They carry on as if nothing had ever happened. If they haven't got a paradigm, they can't ask the question. So they say, yes, it's wrong, but supposing it was right. And the only other option open to them is to stop asking the questions. So that is what they have done now. That's why you don't hear them talking about it, yesterday's question. Some of them have even elevated it into a principle, what we ought to be doing. Aaron Filler from Harvard says, isn't it time we stop talking about selective pressures? I mean, why don't we talk about, look, there's chromosomes and there's genes, and recall what we see? Charles Darwin must be spinning in his grave. He knew all about that kind of science, and he called it hypothesis-free science, and he despised it from the bottom of his heart. And if you're going to say, I'm going to stop talking about selective pressures, you can take the origin species and throw it out of the window, because it's about nothing else but selective pressures. And the irony of it is that this was one occasion of a paradigm collapse where they didn't have to wait for a new paradigm to come up. There was one waiting in the wings. It had been waiting there since 1960, when Alistair Hardy, a marine biologist, said, I think what happened, perhaps our ancestors had a more aquatic existence for some of the time. He kept it to himself for 30 years, but then the press got hold of it and all hell broke loose. All his colleagues said, this is outrageous, you've exposed us to public ridicule. You must never do that again. And at that time, it became set in stone. The aquatic theory should be dumped with the UFOs and the Yetis as part of the lunatic fringe of science. Well, I don't think that. I think that Hardy had a lot going for him. I'd like to talk about just a handful of what have been called the hallmarks of mankind, the things that make us different from everybody else and all our relatives. Let's look at the naked skin. It's obvious that most of the things we think about that have lost their body hair, mammals without body hair, are aquatic ones, like the dugong, the walrus, the dolphin, the hippopotamus, the manatee, and a couple of wallowers in mud like the babirusa. And you're tempted to think, well, perhaps, could that be why we are naked? I suggested that people said, no, no, no. Look, I mean, look over about the elephant. You've forgotten all about the elephant, haven't you? So back in 1982, I said, well, perhaps the elephant had an aquatic ancestor. Peals of merry laughter. That's crazy woman. She's off again. She'll say anything, would she? But by now, everybody agrees that the elephant had an aquatic ancestor. They've come round to agree that all those naked pachyderms had aquatic ancestors. The last stop out was the rhinoceros. Last year in Florida, they found extinct ancestors of rhinoceros and said, seems to have spent most of its time in the water. So this is a close connection between nakedness and water. As an absolute connection, it only works one way. You can't say all aquatic animals are naked, because look at the sea otter. But you can say that every animal that has become naked has been conditioned by water in its own lifetime or the lifetime of its ancestors. I think this is significant. The only exception is the naked Somalian mole rat, which never puts its nose above the surface of the ground. Then take bipedality. Here you can't find anybody to compare it with, because we're the only animal that walks upright on two legs. But you can say this, all the apes and all the monkeys are capable of walking on two legs if they want to, for a short time. There's only one circumstance in which they always, all of them, walk on two legs, and that is when they're wading through water. Do you think that's significant? David Attenborough thinks it's significant as the possible beginning of our bipedalism. Look at the fat layer. We have got under our skin a layer of fat all over. Nothing in the least like that in any other primate.
一点的意思是说，我们人会变成长得很胖，有那种很胖的人，可是你没有看过很胖的猩猩。原因是因为脂肪长的位置不一样，人的脂肪会变成肥。
Why should it be there? Well, they do know that if you look at other aquatic mammals, the fat that in normal land animals is deposited inside the body wall, around the kidneys and the intestines and so on, has started to migrate to the outside and spread out in a layer inside the skin. In the whale, it's complete. No fat inside at all in blubber outside. We cannot avoid the suspicion that in our case it started to happen. We have got skin lined with this layer. It's the only possible explanation of why humans, if they're very unlucky, can become grossly obese in a way that would be totally impossible for any other primate, physically impossible. Something very odd about our fat layer, never explained. The question of why we can speak. We can speak, and the gorilla can't speak. Why? Nothing to do with his teeth or his tongue or his lungs or anything like that. purely to do with its conscious control of its breath. You can't even train a gorilla to say ah on request. The only creatures that have got conscious control of their breath are the diving animals and the diving birds. It was an absolute precondition for our being able to speak. And then again, there's the fact that we are streamlined. Try to imagine a diver diving into water, hardly makes a splash. Try to imagine a gorilla performing the same maneuver. And you can see that compared with gorilla, we are halfway to being shaped like a fish. I'm trying to suggest that for 40-odd years, this aquatic idea has been miscategorized as lunatic fringe, and it is not lunatic fringe. And the ironic thing about it is that they are not staving off the aquatic theory to protect a theory of their own, which they're all agreed on and they love. There is nothing there. They're staving off the aquatic theory to protect a vacuum. Now then, how do they react when I say these things? One very common reaction I've heard about 20 times is, but it was investigated. They conducted a serious investigation of this at the beginning when Hardy put forward his article. I don't believe it. For 35 years, I've been looking for any evidence of any incident of that kind, and I've concluded that that's one of the urban myths. It's never been done. I ask people sometimes, and they say, well, of course, I like the aquatic theory. Everybody likes the aquatic theory. Of course, they don't believe it, but they like it all the same. Why do you think it's rubbish? They say, well, everybody I talk to says it's rubbish, and they can't all be wrong, can they? The answer to that, loud and clear, is yes, they can all be wrong. History is strewn with occasions when they've all got it wrong. And if you've got a scientific problem like that, you can't solve it by holding a head count and saying, more of us say yes and say no. Apart from that, some of the heads count more than others. Some of them have come over. There was Professor Tobias, he's come over. Daniel Dennett, he's come over. Sir David Attenborough, he's come over. Anybody else out there? Come on in, the water's lovely. And now we've got to look to the future. Ultimately, one of three things is going to happen. Either they will go on for the next 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. Yeah, well, we don't talk about that. Let's talk about something interesting. That would be very sad. The second thing that could happen is that some young genius will arrive and say, I've solved it. It was not the savannah, it was not the water, it was this. No sign of that happening either. I don't think there's a third option. So the third thing that might happen is a very beautiful thing. If you look back at the early years of the last century, there was a standoff and a lot of bickering and bad feeling between the believers in Mendel and the believers in Darwin. It ended with a new synthesis, Darwin's ideas and Mendel's ideas blending together. And I think the same thing will happen here. You'll get a new synthesis. Hardy's ideas and Darwin's ideas will be blended together, and we can go forward from there and really get somewhere. That would be a beautiful thing. It would be very nice for me if it happened soon. Because I'm older now than George Burns when he said, at my age, I don't even buy green bananas. So if it's going to come and it's going to happen, what's holding it up? I can tell you that in 3 words. Academia says no. They decided in 1960 that belongs with the UFOs and the Yetis, and it's not easy to change their minds. The professional journals won't touch it with a barge pole. The textbooks don't mention it. The syllabus doesn't mention even the fact that we're naked, let alone look for a reason to it. Horizon, which takes its cue from the academics, won't touch it with a barge pole. So we never hear the case put for it, except in jocular references to people on a lunatic fringe. I don't know quite where this diktat comes from. Somebody up there is issuing the commandment, thou shalt not believe in the aquatic theory. And if you hope to make progress in this profession, and you do believe it, you better keep it to yourself, because it will get in your way. So I get the impression that some parts of the scientific establishment are sort of morphing into a kind of priesthood. But you know, that makes me feel good, because Richard Dawkins has told us how to treat a priesthood. He says, firstly, you've got to refuse to give it all the excessive awe and reverence that it's been trained to receive. Right, I'll go ahead with that. And secondly, he says, and you must never be afraid to rock the boat. I'll go along with that too. Thank you very much.
站起来拍手的这么多人，到底是因为他年纪大了，所以他们给他鼓掌鼓励呢，还是因为他的说服力够？那在座各位，我想问一下，您觉得他的说服力够的举手，我看没有，少数。您觉得他是因为老了，所以给他鼓励的举手，我看更少。那没有举手的是代表什么？啊？它内容有说服力。我的意思就是说，刚刚很多人不是站起来给他鼓掌吗？他站起来给他鼓掌的人，要么是觉得他是说服力很够嘛，要么是觉得他实在很老了，我们给他鼓励，这么老了还这么用功，是哪一种？您认为是他的内容有说服力，就是说他有说服力。可是这个就是我正想跟大家说的。我们对于科学都不了解，我也不了解，我也不知道他说的是对的还是错的。但是我讲的重点不是要跟各位说这里，我要说的是说，当我们谈到行销的时候，今天这位这个老夫人，她的这个表现就值得我们学习。第一个，她非常坚定地告诉你，我相信这个。他非常坚定地告诉你，我相信这个，但是他不是大声小声的吵，他只是很坚定地告诉你说，我相信，而且他很坚定地告诉你说，哈佛的哪个教授真的是他会把达尔文气得从坟墓里跳出来，他笑笑地讲，那个就是非常好的 marketing， 他没有把大家引导进去吵架。他把大家引导进去看一个事实，那个事实呢是有非常有名的教授，他认为他也搞错了。那么这一种行销的方式呢，其实是一个让自己相信的东西，用最有自信的方法。他每一句话几乎都是在微笑，虽然他在批评的时候他也在微笑。这个就是极度自信，因为你只有一种状况，你没有办法微笑。就是你开始紧张，那你开始紧张的时候，你就没有说服力了，这个是很重要的一点。所以，当我们在谈到这个时候呢，我们用一下 Seth Godin， 这个本来这边我放的是一张，左边是 Seth Godin 的照片，出了一些问题。他说 ，Marketing works， 就是 Marketing 是有用的， 你只要花足够的时间或金钱，还有技术，你的就可以把一个故事把它传播出去，然后去影响别人，同时改变他们的行为。所以 marketing 就是行销这件事情呢，需要时间、金钱、故事、传播、影响、改变。如果没有这几个事情连到这里，那个行销是没有用的。我再讲一次，要能够让行销变成有用，你必须要花时间。这位女士她花了那么长的时间，她一辈子就是要告诉你，请你相信这件事。她写了很多书，她做了很多演讲，她在 BBC 演讲，她在各个大学演讲，她都在讲这个。钱是什么意思呢？她自己没有花钱，可是 BBC 替她传播，各个大学找她去演讲，这些都是要花钱的。所以她有没有技术？她的说服力非常非常的强大。所以时间、钱跟技术。同时，他必须要有一个非常完整的故事。各位刚刚听到的，他讲的故事非常非常的完整，几乎你觉得他好像讲的很有道理。虽然我们对这个事情没有研究，我们还是听起来觉得他很有道理。所以这个故事是非常完整的，而且可以传播。为什么可以传播？这个是我要教给各位很重要的一个概念。你讲给人家听的故事，如果人家没有办法转个头去讲给另外一个人听，你那个故事就白讲了。那个故事就讲不通了。但是假设我来请教你，你今天回到宿舍，你要讲给你的这个室友听，你觉得刚刚那个故事你讲得出来吗？
是，还蛮值得讲的。
不只值得讲，你一听就懂，对不对？
对。
那并不是除了你很聪明以外，他也很厉害。他把故事讲的逻辑非常的简单，故事的结构非常的好记，对不对？他只讲几个。那所以那个就是可以 spread， 意思就是这个故事讲的简单到你替它传播没有困难，这个就是重点。所以这个是在 marketing 上面很重要的一个概念。再来呢，就是这个故事讲了以后，你会让人家觉得，哎，我很想相信他的，所以这就是影响了人家，同时改变了他的行为。比如说，如果有人下一次再告诉你讲说啊，人是从什么星星树上下来要站起来，你讲说可能不是哦，为什么我们身上没有像星星一样那么厚的毛？那个事实上就是在告诉你，你已经改变了你对这件事情的行为。那这个是 Seth Godin 告诉我们的。所以行销就是说服大家跳到另一个鱼缸。一堆鱼，其中有一只跳到另外一个鱼缸去。如果你能够说服大家讲说不要在这个鱼缸里面跳过去吧，大家跟着你跳过去，事实上你就是把大家的观念改变了。你要带领大家跳到另外一个鱼缸去，那个就是部落领导，然后同时大家跟着你过去了，这就是变成行销了。那行销就是问题要问出来，就是很多人在做行销的时候是把自己的问题藏起来。其实行销最重要的就是把问题问出来。比如说，你会怀疑我什么？你可能事后想说，哎，我为什么没有问他这个？他自己自问自答，都把问题答完了。所以我们在做设计的时候，比如说，如果你今天在做一个设计的建筑设计的这个评图的时候，老师会问你的问题，你都自己自问自答，都先讲过一次以后，你还会有问题吗？你的问题就会变少了嘛。所以同样的道理，就是去问该问的问题。他的理论是人类是水源上岸进化，不是树源下树进化。其实他的理论就这么简单。但是这个理论呢，透过他的这个推广的方式，让我们觉得非常的听起来非常的愉快。所以无论人类是哪里来，也许会这样演化。这个是我借着要跟各位讲，是说他其实在有一本杂志上面讲，人类的演化从这个猴子一路演化到人，可是下一步人会长成什么样子呢？他画了一个非常有趣的图，就是人类变成功一个肚子很大，手上一直拿着薯条的一种动物。那所以 那个也是一种说服的方法。所以最后剩下几分钟，我来请教一下，对于人类的未来，你最想行销的观念是什么？我问你很简单的问题，会变好还是变坏？
我觉得会退步。
人类会退步？你这么悲观？从哪里看出来人类会退步？
因为很多东西都已经够多了。
很多东西都够多了，所以人就会不再追求东西，是这个意思吗？
我觉得退步反而是另外一种进步吧。
哦，我听懂你的意思。你说退步的意思就是说，不再需要汽车，也许不再需要那么进步的东西，所以反而就是人类的文明往另外一方向走去。
对啊，下面不就一台脚踏车吗？
哦，所以就是变成不一定要汽车，是脚踏车。那个，所以你讲得很好，你不用紧张。所以你要学会一件事情，永远勇敢地表达你的意见跟人家分享。你不要我走过来的时候，你就一直这样啊，好像很痛苦。害我觉得我好像是坏人。来，你要不要跟大家分享？
最想要的未来吗？
对，人类未来会变好还是变坏？
会变好。
变好，怎么样？
因为就是大家其实还是一直，因为大家有那个观念会全球暖化，所以大家应该是在克服啊。然后只要想做，应该都可以做到。
大家都已经知道地球碰到问题了，所以只要真心的想改善，都改得好。这是你乐观的看法，对不对？好，我们一起要这样想，不然麻烦了。有解答你刚刚的问题吗？好，您呢？会变好变坏？
我想我不太清楚变好跟变坏的基础是什么。那我想
比现在了。
比现在，我觉得应该都会比现在好吧。
好，
但是我会觉得我们应该试着，我想行销是试着要去减少我们要的，减少我们要的。
应该不要为了要把东西多卖出去而强迫人家用很多不必要的东西，你是这个看法？
对，
所以这样才有机会变好。
对，
行销的人应该有这个概念。
对，
好，很好。你是学什么？
我是学美术的。
你学美术，很好。为什么要笑？
他是我们的教授。
哦，教授好。
老师他这么说。
所以你看看教授这么年轻，那你呢？
我认为就是要多爱身边的人，就是
多爱身边的人。
因为我觉得之后可能大家会越来越疏远，就是因为现在那个网络比较发达，然后大家就比较开始对身边人比较漠不关心这样子，所以可能就是要多爱身边的人，对。
多爱身边的人。好，那我就剩下最后的这个2-3分钟，一方面跟大家说谢谢，一方面也跟大家说不好意思，因为天气实在是很热。不过我想请大家稍微再给我1分钟，我把这句话讲完。我们今天在讲这个课的时候的开始，我们在谈到的是这个人类其实正在变坏，正在变坏，正在变坏。那个变坏，就像刚刚那位同学说，我们在变坏的同时，其实我们好像有机会进步，没有错。当这个那位 Philip Stark 那么有名，在1980年代设计出那么多让人家羡慕的东西，他突然在2007年开始讲说我要刹车了。2008年说我刹车了，我退休了。他在2007年提的那个观念说，任何一个时代都要让他的故事在该结束的结束，然后让下一代去继续这个故事。它应该是一张空白的纸。当他再重新复出的时候，他已经演化成为另外一种动物。他不再设计那些绚丽的东西、塑胶的东西，他把自己变成一个为环境去负责的人。那个说不定就是刚刚有几位同学跟老师跟我们的回应，意思就是说，其实我们有很多的机会。我们碰到困难的时候，说不定这个黑暗正是让我们走向 光明的时候。所以未来的几堂课，我们就是希望能够尽量的从这个设计跟品牌跟行销的概念，不是要教大家说怎么样去抢很多钱，而是要教大家说我们怎么样子能够利用这样子的一些专业上的方式，去让这个地球变得更好。当这个地球变得更好的时候，我们才有机会真正每一个人都让生活变得更好。不然的话，你赚很多钱，可是住在一个已经污染的地球，也一点用处都没有。今天跟各位分享的那个荷兰2050环地与海，各位如果有兴趣，应该去看看他们的 H2O Land 的那个网站，看到荷兰怎么样子把它明显的国家受到威胁，变成是一个未来的机会，很可能未来它会变成是最会住在海上的人类，那是另外一种人类。那这个就是创意，也是它的品牌，更是它对全世界行销荷兰这个国家最好的行销。那今天我们就到这里，谢谢大家。